All right, what's up, guys? We are back with another podcast episode, and this week we're actually not talking too much about paddles. We have maybe one or two small, quick paddle updates. I do actually have a funny story regarding a paddle review that happened a minute ago now that we're going to tell. But the main topic, and this kind of had Pickleball up in flames this week, the DUPR algorithm change.
Darn right.
And this will be an interesting one to go back and forth on because I feel like I am more willing to see both sides on this, while the rest of Pickleball is either super angry or super happy. And we'll go over why I feel some people are in the camp they are.
I think we know which groups are happy and which groups are upset.
Yeah. So anyways, we're going to talk a lot about the DUPR algorithm change because I feel like there's a lot of things people are missing or not considering when they're looking at it. And I don't think it's perfect by any means, but I just think people are kind of overlooking some stuff. But anyways, let's kick it off with this funny story.
Hilarious.
I'm going to be professional here, and I'll leave the company name out because I don't want the drama. I'll be professional here. However, I feel like what they did was highly unprofessional.
Highly isn't even a good enough word for it.
Particularly for the company that they are, it's even funnier to me. So anyways, basically, this paddle video happened, and there was a comment. I always kind of try and check the comments, after the first hour it's been out, the first 2 hours, just make sure if there was a typo or I did something wrong in the edit, I can delete it and go back and fix it. If there's a major issue, that rarely happens, but just in case, right? So I noticed that in the first hour, there's a comment and it immediately has 10 to 11 upvotes. And now I know my audience and I know my videos. That never happens. Never, ever. So I was like, what is this? So I was like, let me read this comment. And basically this comment is just going on and on, raving about how good this paddle is. They're like, this is the best paddle I have ever played. I hit it at this event. Nothing is even better. They're literally just singing praises about this paddle. And I was like, okay, that's fine. There are plenty of people who feel that way about a paddle. There's nothing wrong with that. But the combination of that plus the immediate upvotes, I was like, that's unusual.
And the reply.
Oh, I'm getting there.
Okay.
Then the next reply was another one that was like, dude, my buddy played this in a tournament this weekend and he jumped half a DUPR point. That's how good this paddle is. I'm paraphrasing that a little bit, but that's effectively what it was. My buddy went up half a point. This paddle is awesome.
Yep. The whole point was he went up because he played with this paddle and it's amazing and it's stupid.
Exactly. Yeah. And then the original commenter responds to that. So I was like, this is really bizarre. I was like, this does not...
What's funny is before we even ever talked about it, I read through the comments as well. And I spotted that one out and I was like, this does not look right.
Yeah. So at first, I see this and I'm going, okay, it's not impossible for this interaction to be real, but it's highly unlikely. Then I was like, okay, let me look at the first comment username. Username doesn't mean anything to me. I was like, okay, whatever. The second comment, however, was the name of the person who is one of the influencer managers at the company. And I was like, that is highly unlikely that is a different person. Then I was like, wait a minute. And that there was no picture for that name. So I wasn't positive. But here's what made me 100% positive. The original commenter's picture, I zoomed in, took a picture of it, reversed Google image searched it, and figured out exactly who it was. And it was the owner of the company.
Yep.
So I was like, okay, for sure that second comment is the influencer manager. So basically, they spun up this fake conversation in my comments to try and make it look like this paddle was better than it was.
Got some paddle company propaganda going on.
I've suspected of companies trying to do stuff like this before, but I was like, this has got to be the worst attempt I have ever seen.
It was really bad. Then they went to every employee at the company and said, hey, go to the comments and like this comment.
Oh, I'm sure that's exactly what happened. Because I promise you the average viewer
is not liking that comment.
Exactly.
Not our audience.
Yeah.
We know our audience.
Yeah. It was one of those things where I was like, once I realized everything going on, I was like, come on, guys. You seriously?
Mm-hmm.
Like, of all the channels to try this on, this one? Wow.
Not the first time they've tried that either.
Yeah, oh yeah. There's definitely been other times where companies have tried to do stuff like this. Not quite like this, but
this one was egregious.
I'm well aware of your burner accounts, companies. I'm well aware of your burners. Nice try, though.
Yeah, don't be doing that, guys.
All right, moving on. The other huge news this week.
Oh, yeah.
QD, his contract is now terminated.
Kick the can, baby. We
Now-
don't need you.
I can't say that I'm super surprised given the last time this happened, also when he switched to a Proton in the middle of a match while still signed with Selkirk. But that was a lot more bold of PPA to make that happen than I think I thought. And I'll be curious what you think about this, because when I go back and forth and how things are being restructured for the PPA, I almost feel like this hurts PPA more than it hurts QD.
Oh, QD and his dad do not care. Duke is just sitting back like, haha, funny.
Because I have multiple reasons that I think this. So with the guaranteed contracts not going away, but effectively changing to where, you know, the old Tour War contracts are now being, their last year is now being paid out over 3 years. So if you were supposed to make $300,000 in 2026, now you will make $100,000 each year from 2026 to 2028. So, okay, if you're someone like QD, you're like, okay, I'm going to get my contract split over 3 years. So that amount of money is maybe no longer as exciting. Obviously, we know he's a superstar over in Vietnam. Who knows how much money he's making over there with Sipik and all the other stuff he's doing. I'm sure he's making plenty of money. So money, probably not the concern. And now that prize money is the main focus for PPA, again, does it really matter? And then when I did a little bit more digging, the contracts, the way it looks like they work, reading a pickleball.com article, is gold contract players will get more money for winning than the people who have standard contracts. So if you have a standard contract, you're not going to make, which is probably, you know, a lot of the players that we know here who are signed to the PPA, you will make less money if you win. So, and then what we don't know for sure yet is if he'll even be able to play PPA.
I don't think he will.
Yeah, based on the weird points rule that was like,
The information that I have and just know of how it works is like, so he's out of MLP, lost his contract. He's kicked off the team, which now the LA Mad Drop's going to suck. Besides the point. He can't play PPAs because he doesn't have a contract, so he can't be eligible to be in the main draw. And he has too many points to play through qualifiers. So he's effectively locked out. And there's no chance he's going to go waste his time at the APP. So, yeah, he's going to sit his butt right over in Vietnam and just go be a superstar and make a bunch of money.
That's what I just think is going to be so fascinating about this is, do I think he needs the PPA at this point? No, probably not, because I think he's established his name over in Vietnam. But I think it probably helped to continue being a superstar when you're playing against the top players in the world.
Yeah, I think at the moment, so his dad is probably smiling like, this is great. We're going to make a ton of money over in Vietnam. I would love to know how QD feels because, okay, sure, it would be great to go be super famous, praised, and it's got to feel good over in Vietnam and make a ton of money. But it's going to be so boring. There's going to be zero competition at the moment for him. There's no one in Vietnam currently that is good enough to, at least from the tournaments I've seen over there, the level's just not quite what it is here.
Sure.
So the tournament's got to be boring for him.
Yeah, that's definitely what I'm curious about. And the reason I feel like this is a miss for the PPA is because I understand the idea of the exclusivity contract. So, and I think that QD and his dad, however that all worked out, who knows who's more involved there. I think breaking your contract, you just shouldn't do that. If you signed the contract, you knew what you signed up for.
Yeah.
Right? If you weren't okay with the terms of that, then you shouldn't have signed the contract. So from that side of things, completely get what PPA did and why they would terminate the contract. But I feel like with how big he is in Vietnam and probably Asia as a whole, use him as a tool to push the PPA over there and make it like a more established thing.
Well, especially if the PPA is wanting to do their Asia tour.
Exactly.
Like, Yeah, why wouldn't you leverage that? Makes no sense not to.
Like if you, obviously Anna Leigh has a carve out, she can play U.S. Open, and I imagine there might be some other types of events that she has a carve out for. So why not give him the carve out for things in Asia and just let him promote the crap out of it? Now, I'm sure there are a lot of conversations behind closed doors that we're never going to know. Maybe these things were pitched and offered, and maybe they were like, yeah, you know what? We'll just go do our own thing. We don't really care. Who knows, right? We all have to speculate a little bit here, but that's the thing that I think is missed, is they could have been a huge lever to pull with him over there.
Yeah.
I don't know. Kind of crazy, though.
It is kind of wild not seeing QD anymore in tournaments. I mean, I'm thinking back, some of the most entertaining matches I've ever watched were with him in it. So, yeah, it's gonna be an interesting field without him.
Yeah.
Honestly, actually, you know what? Screw QD. The biggest miss, I'm gonna miss Bao.
There were I did see a lot of comments online that were
Not having Bao is that is honestly the biggest disappointment. That makes me sad. Gonna miss you, Bao.
Well, we'll see. We'll see how things shake out. Maybe they'll all kiss and make up at some point, and everything will go back to how it was.
No.
We'll see. We'll see. All right, the next thing. This was actually pretty big news. So there was an article on Pickleball.com about this as well, and it was about automated line calls. So they're going to be partnering with a company called Play Replay, who already does this in tennis, I guess, and it's not the same company that does Hawkeye. I did look them up. They are two different companies. But basically, in 2026, they're going to have automated line calls, foot faults, and like kitchen violation calls through this system. And apparently they only need 4 cameras, and they'll be around the net post to make this happen. I'm just shocked with that few cameras and from that position that it can work.
I want to see how big these cameras are and how high they have to be.
Yeah.
Because just knowing cameras, like, I feel like they'd take up a lot of space, and if it has to go above the net post.
If the camera I saw on their website is actually what they're using, it's unclear. The image they show, it's like kind of small, like of what they show, but the camera doesn't look very big.
Okay.
Almost think the size of a DJI Osmo, but probably bigger than that. Like it's in that
if
similar.
If it is able to be that small,
it's probably bigger, but it's in that form factor.
But even if it's 3 Osmos combined, I would be so impressed.
Yeah, same.
I would be shocked.
For sure.
So, all right, well, that'd be pretty sweet. It'd be nice to be able to kick these refs out and actually get some actual line calls and keep players honest.
Well, and I think they have to do something like this with the move to prize money as the way people are earning money.
100%.
Imagine getting hooked out of $100,000 in a slam final.
Mm-hmm.
That would suck.
Yeah, that'd be insane. Dude, the hooking right now is so bad. I actually just saw a clip from, it might have been Vietnam, it might have been Philippines. I don't know where it was, but I just saw a lady hook somebody hit an overhead, and she turned around and then hesitantly put her finger up. The ball was in by 4 feet in like the middle of the box. It was insane. So yeah, that would be really bad with prize money.
Well, and apparently, looking at the article, the goal, and who knows how much this is going to cost and who knows how many facilities adopt it, but the goal is to eventually get this into clubs and facilities as well. So potentially you just wouldn't have to call your own lines, period, which would be pretty cool.
That'd be sweet.
And, I think for foot faults and stuff like that, it'd be pretty sweet. If you look at their website, everything about it looks very nice.
I can think of a lot of players I'm friends with right now. Y'all foot faulting all the time. Not going to be happening no more.
We'll see. So I'm excited to see how that plays out. I think that's going to be a huge step forward for pro pickleball, and hopefully just pickleball as a whole. Having lines that you're not having to call yourself would be pretty huge.
Yeah, it'll make the sport so much better.
Yeah.
Especially just to watch.
Yeah, for sure. Well, maybe it'll be a little less exciting because now you want to have fights, and fights are always what drive a lot of engagement.
True.
Okay, we got to talk about something we discovered this week with foam core paddles.
I don't even want to talk about this.
I agree.
I know we have to, but I don't want to.
I completely agree. I'm going to preface this with, don't do this. This is not encouraged. This has always been discouraged, even since I got into pickleball. This is discouraged. So do not do this. The effects are temporary, and you might break your paddle. Don't do this. You should not step on your paddle. You should not do what we are about to say, but I'm bringing it up because it was something we noticed, and it confused me at first because it wasn't something we were actively trying to do and kind of just discovered by accident. So the other day, we go out to hit, we got our production NF, J2 NF models. And I wanted to be 100% sure that it was the same as the pre-production NF models that we've hit. I've said this before, guys, but when we review paddles, it is always the production model. It is never a pre-production unit. It's always the production model. So we're comparing these side by side. I get our basket of balls, and I put one of the NFs in the basket, and I let it sit there, and that's where we're pulling balls out of. We probably hit for 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes, and it's sitting in the sun. And I'm hitting the other paddle, and I'm like, okay, I've got a feel for how this is. It's about the same as what I'd expect. Then I pulled the other one that had been used already. We've been testing for over a month. And I go, this sounds different, and it feels different. I feel like this hits harder. I was like, how did I not pick up on this in the entire time I've been using it? It should have been obvious that this was changing. So then I hit that one for a while, and I had let the other one sit on the court, just not thinking about it. And then when I picked that one up, it started sounding and feeling the same as the other one. And this is when I started connecting the dots that, wait a minute, the only two things that these paddles had in common just now is that they both accidentally just baked in the sun, either in a basket or on the hot concrete. And so basically after this, I decided to run multiple tests with a radar gun. I don't do this that often, but I wanted to be positive. So we got 3 J2NF production models, and then we had the pre-production one. So I took one that was in the house, did some serve tests. Then I took another paddle and let it bake in the sun and did a serve test. And there was a 3 mile per hour increase between the two.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. For people who don't know, that's a big increase.
3 miles an hour on a serve that's a big jump. That doesn't just happen from unit to unit.
Like 1.5 miles an hour is enough for where most people would feel the difference in paddles. 3 is a big jump.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, there's a big difference. And then I reran the tests after I brought the paddles back in the house, let them cool off, kind of go back to baseline. The sound went back to normal, the feel went back to normal, and the power dropped right back to where it was. Then I tried this on other paddles, like the Vatic V-Core. Also saw an increase. I tried it on the J2 FC Plus. I saw an increase. And then when they cooled back down, they went back to normal. Now, here's the reason I'm going to say not to do this. John ran, and I'm sure he's going to talk about this on his podcast, so I'll let him talk more about everything he's dealt with. But John ran this test with a lot of paddles, foam core, Gen 3, Gen 2, the sorts. And some of the paddles will disbond if you do this. So you can just straight up break your paddle if you let it cook in the sun.
I mean, if you think about it, you're leaving the face of your paddle heating up in the sun, the black surface absorbing all that heat, probably getting like 120 degrees.
Oh, yeah, John was hitting like 130.
130, yeah. Melting the glue inside, like it's just, yeah, it's not good for your paddle. So all of this information is just for scientific test purposes. Like we said, don't be doing this.
And especially because the effect is short-lived. Once the paddle starts cooling off, this goes away. It's not something that's going to last an entire session.
Yeah.
It starts dropping off and going back to its original baseline. So the only thing you're going to gain from this is potentially breaking your paddle.
Yep.
And this has been common knowledge for a long time. Like I said, since I've gotten into pickleball, the rule of thumb has been don't leave your paddle in a hot car, don't let it bake in the sun. And everyone, I think, started kind of moving away from that. They were like, oh, it doesn't really matter. Cold is bad for it because the plastic gets more brittle, but hot doesn't really matter. No, hot matters. So this has always been the rule of thumb, but now we actually have reasons why you shouldn't do it.
Yep.
So the reason I bring it up is because I was so confused and shocked by the difference I was seeing that I was like, what is causing this? And if other people experience this, now you know why. And it sounds like this does happen to other paddles too. It can increase the power of a Gen 3, maybe not as significantly as a foam paddle, but it does happen. So this is not just a foam core paddle problem. However, the increase in power seems to be higher with foam paddles if this happens.
Yeah. Man, the evolution of intentionally breaking paddles has come a long way. First we had lacrosse balls, then we had stepping on your paddle.
Well, and then I guess this was more to pass testing was the freezing.
Oh, the freezing it, yeah. And then now leaving it in the sun.
Don't do it.
Yeah.
You may break your paddle, And
That's on you.
I'm just saying, if companies start seeing a large amount of disbonding happening, might be pretty obvious why they're disbonding.
Yeah.
So
some warranties might start changing.
Yeah. So don't abuse this, because there's literally no reason to do this.
There's no good reason to do it. It's just temporary. It might be fun for a minute, but you're gonna risk breaking your paddle. So, is it worth it? No.
Yeah. Completely agree.
Interesting though.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
I was seriously having flashbacks to the Gearbox Pro Power Elongated, where after the review and people were buying them, they were like, this paddle is not anywhere near as powerful as reviewers are claiming. This is like an average paddle. And I was like losing my mind at the time going, I don't understand. Like, this definitely hits hard. And I feel like I was about to go through that again with this. I was like, how did I not notice for a month that this paddle was changing? Like, it's so obvious now.
And it wasn't even over a month. It was over 10 minutes.
Well, I just mean over... Whoa! Oh, a light fell there. That was really confusing.
Interesting. I'm going to go put that back up with the Velcro.
Yeah, that was crazy. All right, we're back after the fix. But yeah, I just meant that, you know, with the gearbox, it was such a subtle break-in that it was hard to notice at the time. So with the NF, I was like, how did I not notice this changing over time? And it's because, that was the other thing I was going to bring up really quick. To my knowledge at the moment, playing with the paddle outside and not letting it bake in the sun should not really have this effect. And the reason I say that is because I played the Carbon True Foam all over the country the last 7 months, in hot weather, in cold weather, and I never noticed this happening, but I never let my paddle bake in the sun. I don't just let it sit out. I usually take it with me, or if I'm playing, you know, I'm on the court using it. So I think ambient temperature impacts it significantly less than when it's baking in the sun and absorbing all that heat. Because I also took J2 FC Plus that was in our shed, which is very hot in there, ambient-wise, and that paddle played like a cold one, and it had to bake in the sun to actually heat up. So I don't think people need to be worried about, if it's 100 degrees, am I going to break my paddle? I think as long as you don't just let it sit in the sun, you're fine.
Yeah. Just don't be leaving it on the ground, face up. I imagine if it's in a paddle holder, it's probably fine. It's particularly just on the ground, face up, absorbing the heat and the sun rays.
Well, and I think really what it's going to be is how the paddle rack is positioned, because some people actually did in the Discord had already ran this test before, I guess, and some paddle racks are different than the ones we have in the States. So instead of stacked like this, left and right, the paddles go like this. So the sun is literally just beaming them.
Yeah.
And I think someone took a temp gun and theirs was up to 140 degrees on the paddle face.
Jeez.
So it gets hot. And when I say these were hot, like these were hot to the point where when you picked it up, it hurt.
It was like burning your hand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there you go. That's what I have to say about that. Don't do it.
Crazy stuff.
Yeah. For the 100th time, don't do it.
You know somebody's going to do it.
Yeah, but they shouldn't. I gave my disclaimer. I did my work. Okay. DUPR. Let's talk DUPR. There was a lot here. So,
oh my gosh.
You and I are on opposite spectrums of this debate.
Yeah, we are.
So let's go through
everyone go down in the comments and just guess who's on which side. Who's got the higher DUPR, who's got the lower DUPR, and who has what opinion?
That doesn't even matter.
No, it does.
It doesn't matter.
It matters.
Okay, in case you missed it somehow, the DUPR algorithm changed again. So basically, what has changed now is that DUPR has, depending on the team that you are playing, they have a predicted score that they expect you to win by. So if you took... And no one knows what the predicted score is. DUPR's not telling people, and we'll probably get to later why they're not doing that. But basically, if you had 2 5-0s and 2 4-0s, DUPR probably expects that team is not going to score, let's just say, more than 4 points in a game to 11. So if that team exceeds expectation, and let's say they got 7, they still lost, but DUPR now is probably going to bump them up a little bit, and the higher rated team that won can go down because they underperformed the expectation that they were supposed to win by. Because on average, a 5-0 team should slaughter a 4-0 team, right? Like you said the other day when we were talking about qualifier teams, and I was joking about playing the one in Eau Claire, you were like, Chris, you won't even score a point. These people would double pickle you.
Yeah.
So there is an expectation, right? Like, I bet you if I said, hey, Isaac, you go play 3-5s, you probably expect that you're going to pickle them almost every game.
Mm-hmm.
And I would be willing to bet you'd say they'd never score more than 3.
It is. Here's the thing. It is expected, but let's just say 4-0s against 5-0s.
Mm-hmm.
It's really not that hard to at least score a point or two, right? Like 5-0s still make errors. Might hit a ball into the net, a return in the net, return long. Like small errors that just happen, right? Not because the 4-0s are better, but I think DUPR, from some of the matches that I've looked at and people that I know, it's expecting a pickle. This team won 11-3 and underperformed, and their DUPR went down. Mm-hmm. They won 11-3. You're like, so you just have to pickle them? Like that seems, I just think that's ridiculous.
Sure.
Because it is not that unlikely for people to just score a couple points. You probably should pickle them, but if you're not 100% focused or fully, if you just know, like sometimes I've been in a tournament where I've played some teams where I'm like, okay, it's just kind of a cool down. Like I can tell I don't need to like
go hard,
play super hard and I still win like 11-4, 11-3. Well, oops, DUPR went down because of that. I just think that's so silly. So now the issue that I see is, okay, people who just want to inflate their DUPR, because there's a lot of those out there, we're just going to have 3-5s and 4-0s sign up for open division tournaments, probably get slaughtered. They get 1 or 2 points, their DUPR's shooting up.
David, I don't think 1 or 2 points is going to do it. I looked at a ton of matches this weekend, and even if they did go up, it was by such a small amount that they would have to win 20, 30, or, get within that point range 20, 30, 40, 50 times to see any significant bump. Like, people were going up by 0.001.
Most of the matches I went up were going up more than that.
I looked at a ton. The only time I saw that happen was when reliability scores were low, or people had a very low amount of games.
Well, that's the other thing that I'm curious about. I haven't looked into enough yet, is what if someone's reliability... Remember when we were down in Texas, Lucas?
Yeah.
He hadn't played a tournament for a super long time. So let's just say you lose to somebody, or you win against somebody whose DUPR is 3-5, but they haven't played a tournament in 2 years, right? Their reliability is low, but they're a 3-5. Is it counting them as a 3-5 and your DUPR is going to tank now, even though you beat them?
From what I've seen looking around, I think you'll see a couple different things happen. My guess is that if you were to, because I don't think I've seen this one yet. I don't think I've seen where like a 5-0 team beat a 3-5 with a low reliability rating, and then they lost, they underperformed, and then that person went up. Like what I've seen so far with all the low reliability games is that person with the low reliability, if they underperformed, they see a pretty significant drop, because at that point DUPR's going, okay, we're unsure about your rating. You underperformed what we thought, so you probably are worse than we think, so we're going to drop you more. But if you way overperformed consistently, they will.
Okay, but how would it expect
quicker.
you to underperform if DUPR sees you as a 3-5, playing against 5-0s or plus?
I'm thinking in the flip scenario, where like if you were a 5-0 and lost to 2 4-5s,
yeah,
and you underperformed, you would drop.
Yes.
In the example you're talking about, I haven't seen one with that disparity yet, so I don't know exactly what would happen. Also, before we move on, the one thing I forgot to mention, I think the one thing, no matter what, that we can all agree on about DUPR right now, no matter what side of the fence you sit on, these new ads suck.
Bro, yeah, these ads make me I'd never really open DUPR anyways, but it makes me want to just delete it.
Yeah.
Like, it's so stupid. I know that I think DUPR got handed out, like there's another company that took over something. Somebody was explaining it to me, and they're just throwing these ads at it. But man, I think we all agree, they suck.
I've been using it, at least on my desktop, with an ad blocker. I can avoid everything, but the mobile experience is awful.
Terrible. Every account you click on, here's 14 more ads.
So no matter what, guys, even if we disagree about this algorithm change, we can all agree that these ads suck.
We're all united on this front.
Exactly.
No one who's paying $30 a year to get rid of these ads. Please tell me.
Exactly. So let me look at some notes here. I'm just going to kind of blast this because I think what we just talked about kind of summarizes everything, but this was kind of just the what. Go ahead.
Actually, one thing this is something that's happened in the past and before we've seen. I'm curious what would happen now. And I find it so unbelievably stupid. Someone who didn't have a official DUPR rating yet played in a qualifier. They should not have. They're not good enough to be in a pro qualifier.
Yeah.
They got slaughtered by the team they played, right? Good team. And their DUPR, guess what their DUPR was after the qualifier?
Oh, I'm sure it was 5.0 plus.
5.6.
Yeah.
Okay. That person's actual rating was probably around a 4.5. And they ended up being a 5.6 afterwards. How insanely stupid is that?
So I think it's funny. You basically just keep skipping ahead to all the things I was going to get to. This was near the bottom of the list. But I think this update that everyone is really mad about, I feel like people are almost mad about the wrong things. I understand why people are mad, but I think that is a significantly bigger problem than what this update is introducing. Like, I think a lot of people are getting initialized into DUPR way higher and way faster than they should be. There almost needs to be kind of like in League of Legends or Valorant. If you guys don't play video games, none of this will mean anything to you, but where you need to play like a set number of games before the algorithm goes,
this is where you're at.
We consider, like, you shouldn't get something after like your first tournament, in my opinion, unless you played a ton of games, it's a ton of skill levels. Like, I think people are getting inflated DUPRs too quickly because of that.
I agree. And then it also depends. This is just the issue with DUPR. It's like, are you playing tournaments? Are you playing these DUPR leagues?
Yeah.
Are you playing these DUPR open play events at facilities? Like, it matters so much, because playing a little DUPR league at some local facility is way different than playing a 5-0 bracket at a PPA, right? Like, or whatever bracket you'd be in. So it's just, I don't know. I agree. I've talked with a bunch of friends, and I truly don't think that people's DUPR rating is accurate until you have at least 50 plus matches.
I agree. I completely agree with that. And I think that is one of the biggest, or perhaps one of the funniest things I think about DUPR is, I didn't write this down, so I'm going to have to like think of the direction this goes on the fly here. But basically, anytime someone has a low amount of games and a high DUPR, gosh, I can't remember how to phrase this. It's going to like trip me up now. I needed to like write this down beforehand. But basically, everyone complains when someone has a high DUPR and they like played down in a bracket or something, but they don't look at like how many games they had or like what their reliability rating is, right? Like, all people look at is that number and they go, this is gospel. They don't look at how many games, because if someone has less than 5 games or 10 games, heck, even 15 games, I don't even take your rating seriously.
Yeah.
Because you have so few data points that you could have been skewed because you played in a qualifier, like you said, or you could even be skewed too low because maybe you started in too low of a DUPR league and got initialized though. Like, until there's a lot of data points, it doesn't matter. And I think that's what people need to start looking at. Like, how many games this person played and what's their reliability rating?
Yep.
You can't just look at the number, because everyone just looks at that and goes, oh, like, they're a 5-0. And it's like, well, they might not actually be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That happens a lot.
Okay, so let me go over some things that changed quick, just make sure I didn't miss any notes in here. So before, instead of winning or losing being the primary driver, now it's by a predicted amount of points, which is going to upset a lot of people. The underperforming team could go up. And then people have been sharing a ton of examples online of people winning 15-4 and their DUPR going down, which I'm going to talk about those. I saved those examples.
Insanity.
That one is kind of crazy to me. That one is kind of crazy. And then, again, no one knows what the expected outcome is. I think DUPR's probably going to hold that to their chest so people don't start going, okay, we got to win this by, they can't get more than 4 points. They're probably trying to avoid that, is my guess. But you know what's interesting?
You already know people are doing that.
Oh, I'm sure they're going to try and figure it out. But I mean, if DUPR just told them, it'd be like easier for them, right?
But people are coming up with their own thing. Like, they're thinking about every single point.
So here's what I think is interesting, though. If you're playing a tournament, you know, if people knew that they had to win by 3 or 4, they're thinking about that. And they're thinking, how do I make sure this person doesn't get 3 or 4? But isn't the entire goal of a tournament to beat them as badly as possible? Like, let's say you're playing a true double elimination bracket. Take pool play out of this, because pool play, I get it. In pool play, a team that you know you're going to beat, you might take it a little easier to save some energy. Ben's done this for a long time, right? But if you're playing a double elimination, shouldn't the point always be to beat the team as badly as possible? Like, why would you ever want them to get points? So,
Yeah.
like, to me, it doesn't matter if you know what it is because your goal should be able to beat them.
Yeah, but just, I don't know. Things happen.
I mean, I get why
Oh,
people
trust
want
me,
to know.
things happen. I saw some things happen over the weekend. We'll get there, but I saw some things happen that should not happen.
Oh, we're going to talk about it. Don't
But
worry.
okay, so one thing I was gonna bring up.
Yeah.
And now I'm gonna keep such a close eye on the next PPA because I think the 3 highest dupers right now are Ben, JW, and Alshon. I think they're over 7-0. Okay, they're so much higher than the rest of the field and people that they should be slaughtering.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look at Ben's duper, and if it better be going down after every win. He's just never gonna go up again because his duper's so much higher than everyone, unless he's beating Alshon, JW, or the people who are 6'8", 6'9", which there's not that many, right? So if he plays a 6'2", I can't think of an example. Like, let's just say Xiaomei, right? I think he's 6'5" or something. Ben's duper going down after his win because he doesn't, beat him by, I mean, yes, Ben pickles a lot of people. Doesn't always happen, right? So Ben and Annalie, their duper should be going down after every win.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see for theirs, like, how that drop starts going out. Like, maybe what we end up seeing is that there is no, because I think technically the duper skill goes up to 8.
Yes.
But
it's like
obviously no one's
to
at
get
8.
there.
So I almost wonder with this new update, if we're just going to see a shift where, like, it gets tighter and there's no longer this, like, okay, we have 3 7-0s and everyone else is lower. For example, like, if you look at the difference between, I mean, JW's obviously an awesome player, but if you look at the difference between, like, him and Ben, or even him and Alshon, I think a lot of people would probably place Ben or Alshon above JW right now. So should he be a 7-0? I don't know. I think if people made a list of the top 5 best male players, is JW in that list consistently? I don't know, right? Maybe,
yes.
But there's a lot of good men's players.
I mean, I think those players are 7-0. Like, I think that's a pretty accurate rating with how often they win.
So, but what about players like who have been doing well recently? Let's say Andre, Hayden, Fed. Like,
I'd have to look at what their dupers are right now.
Sure.
And see.
And I'm thinking like Gabe, like, these are all guys that are, like, pretty elite and should also probably have a 7 duper if we're talking about who we think are really good players, right? So that's why I just wonder if it's going to be like, maybe we just don't really see 7-0s anymore. Maybe we see like 6-9s and 6-8s, and it's like the spread gets closer. But I do think it's going to be interesting to keep an eye on their duper and see where it goes.
I just don't think with how this algorithm is and how matches are happening in the PPA, because Ben's not pickling everybody.
Yeah.
I better start seeing it go down after he wins.
And what's funny about this too, I think I forgot to mention this, for those of you who haven't been around as long, this is actually how the duper algorithm used to be.
Yeah.
Years ago, it was this way, and lots of people complained for the same reasons they're complaining about now. Yep. But what's really funny about this is no matter which way the algorithm is, someone's always complaining, because I played, when we played that CT tournament, I was talking to someone, and they were like, it doesn't make any sense. I just barely lost to a team that is way better than me. Like, full point or like 3/4 of a point better than me. I should get some credit for that. It doesn't make any sense that I'm still going down when I am supposedly way worse. And now it switches and everyone's mad again.
The lower level people want to be going up when they lose, and the higher level people want to keep the rate. Like, they don't want to be going down after a win.
So the
two camps.
I'm going to come back to that later for like my argument, but let's go over some examples.
Yeah.
So I saw a lot of examples on Facebook of people saying, I won by this much, I still went down. So let's kind of break some of these down. First of all, similar to what I said a minute ago, all of the big complaints I've seen where there's been a big duper swing, every single time I have looked up, you don't even want to know how many dupers I looked at this weekend. How many people's accounts I'm like looking up and like, or it's like, I'm like, is this the guy from Facebook? There's like 1 million of this guy's name. I literally clicked every single one until I found the guy. But every single time there's been a big swing, always a low reliability rating or low amount of games. 100% of the time, that was when there was a large swing.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind. The first example I saw, someone won 15-4 and they went down. The dupers were a 4.96 and a 5.09 versus a 4.13 and a 4.25. Now, that team should slaughter them. And they basically did. 15-4, in my opinion, that's a slaughter.
That is a blowout.
That's for sure a blowout. Like, I mean, 4 points in 15. Like, this one is kind of one where I'm like, I think really what probably needs to happen is the amount that a team is predicted to win by almost needs to be, or the losing team is predicted to get, almost needs to be raised. So, for example, if this case it needed 4 for them to gain, I almost think in this case that should be like 7. Yeah. Like, I think that would solve a lot of the problem.
Yeah.
If the floor was raised higher.
Okay. The winning team's DUPR went down more than what I think it should have, which is 0.005.
So,
but let me finish.
Okay.
That's not as big as the losing team should not have gone up that much.
Okay, I'll agree with that.
Thank you.
So you're saying, so for those listening, the team that won went down 0.005.
Yep.
So that means that the 509, who was a 509.5, now just went down to 509. Do you think that's too big of a drop?
Yeah, too much.
People only talk about DUPR to the second decimal point. Their second decimal didn't even change.
They added the third.
But no one uses the third.
Sorry, they added the third.
Okay, but would you ever actually be upset about your third decimal
100%.
changing? No, you would not.
If I go down that much for winning, yeah.
Bro,
But a slaughter. A slaughter.
Okay, in the context of this match, like I said, I think the floor should be raised. But I also think complaining about the third decimal is crazy. Can you imagine? I saw a bunch of people this weekend that were like, I lost and I went up, and they're like, I'm so pumped about it. Do you want to know what their rating went from? It went from a 4.556 to a 4.557. If you are pumped about going from 4.556 to 4.557, you might need more exciting things in your life.
You know what? After every time I beat you in any game, I'm taking money out of the third decimal of your bank account. See how you feel about that.
Bro, I just think before this update, not a single person cared about that third decimal point. But now because it goes up or down just a tiny bit, people are like, oh my gosh, I'm dying.
Totally reasonable. All right, part of that is me. It's a bit of a bit. I'm joking a little bit, but I do think it is kind of silly.
I in this case, like I said, I do think that with this blowout, they shouldn't have gone down. 15-4 is a slaughter. Even with that DUPR gap, I don't think it's unreasonable for a 4-1 and a 4-2 to get 4 points in a game to 15.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's just not...
It just happens.
Yeah, that's not that crazy.
You might just not be focusing. You might hit a return long. You might hit a return in the net. Like, you might miss a volley on a third. Like, things just happen. A 3-0 can get lucky, and a 5-0 might just lead. They might swing wildly at a drive, shank it, and then a 5-0 lets it go, thinking it's going a mile out, and it's in. Oh, they got a point. Now your DUPR's going down 500 billion points.
Okay, let me keep going on some examples because I have 2 more that I had looked up.
Yeah.
So the second example was a 3-7-1 and a 3-2 versus a 4-0-4 and a 3-8-2. So the losing team, how did I not write down the score? That's crazy. Okay, well, anyways, the worst team, the 3-7-1 and the 3-2, lost, and they went up 0.001. So again, they went from a 3-7-1-2 to a 3-7-1-3 and a 3-2-0-8 to a 3-2-0-9. I can't believe I forgot to write down the score on this one. That's kind of important information, so that's my bad. And then the winning team did also go down 0.001. So again, effectively, no one's DUPR changed.
Okay, so looking at these DUPRs, these teams, these are teams that I could see being in an actual tournament bracket. Obviously, they played against each other, right? Seeing how much they went down and up for winning and losing, these teams would be better off playing up in a bracket and losing to a higher team, and they'd gain way more.
But see, that what I think is interesting about that example, that's the example everyone keeps using right now. Like, if you are a lower level, you should always play up. But on average, let's say you're a 4-0 and you're going to play the 5-0 bracket because you're like, I want to go for maximum gains. All I got to do is get like 3 points, let's say. At a certain point, you might move up. Let's say you moved from a 4-0, let's say you moved up to a 4-2 by playing it that way. if your skill level didn't actually increase in that time, the 5-0s over 1,000 matches, if you just kept playing them over and over, you're going to keep losing. They are a better team than you.
And you'll keep going up.
No, but you can't go up forever just on losses. Either at one point you're going to be close to equal and you can't keep going up, or your skill level wasn't actually better.
But
and
the
you
fact
keep
that
getting...
you can theoretically even get close by losing is mind-blowing.
I don't think that'll actually happen. I think everyone's taking it to the extreme.
I don't think it will, but just theoretically that is possible, it should not be.
But okay, I feel like a lot of things are possible in
theory.
theory.
So right now, if you're 4-0, just go to a tournament because tournaments do this and they love to maximize games and give everyone pool play. Go to a tournament with as big of a pool as possible, play 7 pool play games, lose all of them, and your DUPR will go up by the end of the tournament.
But only if you overperformed.
Get 4 points a game. Okay.
But okay, on average, if let's take DUPR out of the question here. If a week ago I came to you and I said, Isaac, 2 5-0s, 2 true 5-0s are going to play 2 true 4-0s. They play 50 times. What do you think the score they're going to average get? You would a week ago you would have told me they'd always get 4 points?
I'd have to know exactly how much they have to win, how many points they have to win to go up. Because it could be 2. It could be 1. DUPR could be fully expecting them to, you have to pickle them every game.
Okay, okay, I highly doubt it's a pickle. Maybe in some cases it could be.
If you're going up by losing 4-15, I think it's expecting a pickle.
The games I've looked at this weekend, I don't think that's the case. Because I saw examples where teams were considerably lower and scoring 2 or 3 and still going down against a team that was higher. But the thing that I think everyone needs to understand is you could find an example of anything, right? You could find a 5-5 that played a 3-5, and that team, they probably do need to pickle them at that. That's a gigantic gap. But also, I would also expect them to pickle them on average.
You should.
I think my whole point is that and I'm skipping ahead here a little bit, over enough amount of games, it should all average out and fix itself, right? Like, because on average, 2 of you versus 2 of me, you probably win. I don't get more than 6 on average. I might occasionally get over that. So if we play 1,000 games, eventually it nets itself out and I'm not moving anymore.
Actually, you're the perfect example because right now your DUPR's sitting at what, 4 or 5 something?
4-5-5.
Perfect, 4-5-5. Mine's sitting at 5-2.
Mm-hmm.
I don't actually think that your DUPR's accurate. Your reliability is 100%, but I don't think your DUPR's necessarily that accurate. 2 of you versus
higher
2 of
or
me.
Lower?
You're maybe a touch higher.
Let's go. He said I'm better than my DUPR.
I do believe you're higher than your DUPR. Not 5-0 yet.
I got a compliment from him on the podcast. Let's go.
But my point being is if it was 2 of me versus 2 of you, yes, 2 of me will win majority of the time. Maybe you get lucky 1 out of 50 times and you win. But I think if your DUPR reliability is 100% and your DUPR is lower than what you should be going up. But I don't think you should be going up that much by losing.
Well, but what number do you define as going up too much?
Okay, I would need to see an example of how much a 4-5 would go up if they lose 11-8 against a 5-2, right?
Sure.
Because like I could totally
might have that example.
I could totally see a
second.
game like that happening between you and I, right?
Sure.
Because your DUPR is lower than what I would consider it to be accurate, right? And so then DUPR's just going to shoot you up for losing.
So wait, hang on, but I feel like that kind of proves some of my point, right? So if one of 2 things has to be true when there is a close match between a lower rated game and a higher rated, one of 2 things or both things can be true. Either you are worse than your DUPR or I'm better than my DUPR. And in this context, we're saying that I am better than my DUPR, so realistically I should have a higher DUPR.
But I don't think you should ever go up for losing. I just think that whole concept is silly. Oh, I lost and I got better.
That part I can agree with. I think the concept of going up when you lose or down when you win is extremely backward and probably not something we see almost anywhere else. I think there were some video games I played back in the day where they tweaked the algorithm and it did actually do that for a while. Like there were examples of people winning and demoting ranks. But so I do think that's backwards.
Name another sport that you can lose and get better. You lose and your rating goes up.
So, but then let's go back to this. If you have 2 4-0s and 2 5-0s, and the match is 9-11, 9-11, are the 5-0s worse or are the 4-0s better? One of those things has to be true.
Yeah.
So, but like, you think there should be, even though they played so close, there should never be any movement.
They lost.
So you think they're true 4-0s if they lost 9-11, 9-11?
I still think you should go down if you lose. Like, okay,
do you think they're better than 4-0 if they lost 9-11?
Maybe they are. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. I don't know. But I still just don't think there should ever be a world where you can lose and go up. Because this is such a small, minor issue that I'm not going to die on this hill.
Yeah.
But I just think that our sport is so, like, silly to everyone in the world right now that trying to explain another thing that is ridiculous to people. Imagine you having never played pickleball and they're like, oh, how's this rating system work? Oh, hey, you can lose and go up. Like, it's just makes it so much more silly in my eyes.
Yeah, I feel like it just, I understand everyone's frustration about that part. I think that, and what I would like to know is if it's possible, and I have no idea, I'm not an algorithm engineer, but what I'd like to know is if it's possible to not hurt, let's say it flipped this way, the 4-0 versus 5-0 example, 9-11, 9-11. Would you be okay with it if the higher rated team didn't go down, but the lower rated team went up?
Sorry, say that again.
So if the 4-0s played the 5-0s and lost 9-11, 9-11, would you be okay with it if the 5-0s, their rating changed nothing? It literally is 0. But the 4-0s moved up because they played a higher team closer.
No.
Why? One of those things has to be true.
I think it's fine if the higher rated team doesn't go up.
Okay.
But I just don't think that you should go up for losing. I just think that whole concept in of itself should not exist. I just think that's silly. If I play James Ignatowicz and Colin Johns and I get 3 points, I should not be going
but
up.
I'm not talking about 3 points. I'm talking about you narrowly lost. If you consistently...
Even still, I should not go up.
So if right now as a 5-2, you play James and Colin, and every single time for the rest of your life, you lose 9-11 while they're trying their hardest.
Okay, every time?
You don't think?
Sure, but no 4-0 is getting 11-9 against a 5-0 every time.
No, but that's the point. They may not be a true 4-0. That's what I'm trying to say.
I'm still losing. I should not go up. I should not go up for losing. If I play James and Colin and I lose, I do not deserve to gain rating.
Okay, I'm only going to say this one more time because we're going in circles now. But that means for the rest of history, if you could consistently get to 9-11, you don't think you're better than a 5-2 against James Ignatowicz and Colin Johns.
Nope.
You think you're a true 5-2 if you can always get to 9-11.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense.
Okay, of course that was a bit of a joke, but that just will never happen, right? Like that should never happen.
But I guess
maybe
my point is just
left-handed.
that means you are better.
Yeah, I 100% get your point, but I just don't think that's how the rating should function.
So here's another example. Okay, do you think score should ever play a role in the thing, or is it only win-loss? Like it doesn't matter if you won 11-9 or if you won 11-0.
I'd rather it be win-loss.
With point mattering 0. So like if you pickled a team that was 0.3 above you, you think there should be no difference how much you go up versus pickling them versus 11-9?
I think score should only play a factor in how much you go up or go down. If I get 11-9, 11-9 against James and Colin, I should probably only go down a little bit.
Wait, if you won or if you lost?
If I lose.
Oh, okay.
If I lose against them, I shouldn't be going down a ton.
I agree.
Right? But if I win...
But if you pickled them, do you think you should go up more?
If I pickled them, yes.
Okay. So I see what you're saying.
I think score should only impact how much you go up or down, but it should not impact whether you go up for losing.
Yeah, for sure.
That's how I think. That's what I would like to see. That's what I think would be better. Of course, because I mean, that's kind of how it works, right? Or maybe it's not, that's how it works, but like the higher rating team doesn't go up a lot for beating a lower rated team, right? Like I played against 2 pros from Minnesota in a qualifier in Kansas City, and they didn't go up at all because they should slaughter me and my partner.
Yeah.
Right. So, but I think if I pickled them, they should go down a lot and I should go up a lot because you shouldn't lose. But now if I lose, I should always go down, and they should always go up. Or they just don't gain anything. And that's even better. If you have such a massive disparity, 0-0. Shouldn't even be playing each other.
Well, see, they actually used to do that when they had, I believe it was exactly when this same algorithm was in place, but there was a point where if you played a team and the gap was more than a full DUPR point, I think it just didn't even register. Like no one got anything because they were like, this is so ridiculous. I feel like they almost just didn't have a way to determine how much someone should gain or lose when there's that big of a discrepancy. So I do almost think that should be brought back. I feel like people were upset about that back in the day, particularly I think it was an issue in the pro game because you had guys kind of like, if we're going back a couple years, like Kyle Kazuta, who is a lower DUPR, maybe he's a 5'3", a 5'5". He's playing these 6'5" plus guys, and maybe he beats some of them occasionally, but he's gaining nothing because the gap was so big. So maybe that's why they got rid of that. But I do remember they did that and had issues with it.
Yeah.
At some point.
I think no matter what the algorithm is, there's always going to be some scenario that somebody can come up with that's going to be like, well, this shouldn't be happening on both sides, right?
Yeah.
So I agree that DUPR is extremely difficult to perfect. It cannot be perfected. Some camp of people will always be upset.
Yeah.
In all of reality, I don't really care that much, but my one thing that I'm so annoyed about is that the concept of going down for losing or going up for losing should not exist.
Well, there's two things I'm very curious about. One, there's obviously a ton of backlash right now, and I'm very similar to you. I really don't care either way. I think I'm more in the camp of, I just don't think it matters, and I think people are overreacting to what it is. Like, people are almost acting like this is this death sentence to their DUPR and like everything's about to go to crap, and maybe certain things will. There are definitely downsides that we're going to get to that I think will be real problems, but your rating going up or down is like the last part of that problem. I think that's almost the most minimal part of it. I'm just in the like, I started seeing the reactions, I was like, I feel like everyone's overreacting. Like, this feels so, I understand being upset, but the amount everyone was upset. I was just like reading debates and I was like, dude, you guys are arguing like someone just called your mom fat. Like,
these are definitely Facebook arguments for sure.
Oh yeah, Facebook and Instagram.
The number one. See, I haven't seen it much on Instagram, but definitely I can see this happening on Facebook.
It was pretty big on Facebook.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go over one more because I did have a third example. Yeah. I don't think people really need it because it's more of the same. But there was a team. The games went to 3. It was 4-11, 11-3, 11-4. The DUPRs, the winning team was a 5-2-8 and a 5-3-2. And the losing team was 4-9-3 and 5-0-7. This one's interesting because I don't think the gap is all that
big. This is a pretty small gap.
It's a reasonable gap is what I would probably call it. So the losing team won the first one 11-4 and then proceeded to lose 11-3, 11-4. The winners went down 0.009 and then the losers went up 0.005. And everyone on this team did have a reliability rating of 96% or higher. 96% was the lowest on there.
Like, this one doesn't have that much of a jump for the losing team going up. Like, I mean, and the losing team going down.
Bro, you are more mad about 0.001 than you are about 0.009.
Because that one's ridiculous. Because the DUPRs are...
Because the score was such a big blowout?
Yes.
Okay, fair. I'll give you that.
It's honestly, all of these are blowouts, but like, I don't know. It just seems so silly to me. It's so silly. What's funny is like, this sounds like a heated argument between you and I, but I think majority, we kind of agree with each other.
Oh no, I'm pissed. I hate you. I'm just kidding.
What's so funny about this.
Well, yeah, I think that's another thing. When I'm looking at all of this, I'm like, I think ultimately we probably agree on more things than we disagree on. This almost reminds me of politics.
Yeah.
Where it's like, we're more similar than you think we are.
But we're fighting about small things that are over there.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
So, yeah, I definitely think you and I actually agree majority of the time on this, but there's just one small thing that we disagree on.
And I think a couple things are going to happen, and this is going to cause people to be more upset. I think you and I can both agree, and I think we've complained about this. There are people who play a couple games, and they get an inflated DUPR. I personally think that if people continue to play, this will stop some of those people from having such inflated DUPRs. And I think a lot of people's egos are about to get bruised when they find out they're not actually a 4.9 and they're more like a 4.4.
I think the inflated people, but if you're inflated, you're losing. And you should be going down anyways. If you're inflated and winning and then going down, are you actually inflated?
I guess I'm more thinking, maybe it doesn't matter either way. I guess I'm thinking of the people who play a few and lock in a high rating and they're like, yep. Like your example, the qualifier thing you said. If they only play that qualifier and set it at 5.6, they should not be a 5.6 anymore.
Agreed.
And I almost think DUPR
then
used
those
to do
people
this
just
too.
never play DUPR tournaments ever again.
Well, that's what I feel like is happening, and I feel like that's kind of part of the problem. But I almost want them to bring back the decay that they used to have, and I know this would probably piss people off.
People would get the pitchforks and torches out.
I think people they'd almost rather have the win and go down than decay. That. But the decay in some ways makes sense to me. It's motivation to keep playing DUPR things.
Yep.
Because after a year, if someone took a full year off pickleball, do we expect them to be the same or better? Probably not, unless they were playing that whole time like Lucas, who was an example. Like
he was the opposite.
Yeah, he went in the training dungeon. But yeah, I don't even know where I was going with that. But yeah, I think there are going to be people whose egos get a little bit bruised when they find out their DUPR's a little higher than it should be. But ultimately, I think this problem, I understand that I think just because, again, winning and going down sounds terrible, but there are way bigger problems to me. For example, I don't think people should be able to make multiple DUPR accounts. People, when they get a bad rating, they just go make another DUPR account. You should have to link your phone number or verify something else to make a DUPR account.
Yeah.
I think it is so stupid when people go and and I see this all the time if I'm searching people's DUPR, sometimes I'll find someone with 2 DUPR accounts, and I'm like, okay, they didn't like the rating of this one, so they were like, let me spin up a new one. That should not be a thing.
Yep.
I would prioritize that way above the update they just put out.
I agree.
I also think, let's see, I feel like I had another one. Like we said at the beginning, I think people's DUPR should not go up nearly as quickly. There needs to be a minimum threshold of how many games before it gives you some type of rating. I almost don't even think it's good enough if after your first, let's say you got initialized as a 5.6 from that qualifier, and let's say they had a reliability rating of 15%. Again, for whatever reason, people don't look at that reliability rating. They just look at the 5.6 and
how
go,
many matches do you think it should be till you get a rating? 10? 15?
If I had it my way, I'd probably say 20 to 30.
Yeah.
But I know a lot of people, there are things that would cause issues for.
100%.
This is why I think no matter what, there's not a perfect solution. If I'm thinking a facility owner, they have someone who just gets into pickleball. They need a DUPR because they want to play in the DUPR 4-5 league, let's say. Okay, well, now you're going to have to play in some type of starter league to get your DUPR up because you're not allowed to play in that. If you have to play 30 games,
a lot.
That could be a lot of games. And depending on like groups you get stuck in, like I just see scenarios where it could suck to have that many games to get initialized, but I also think it's equally problematic to inflate people and maybe let them into leagues that they shouldn't be in. So I don't really know what the solution is there, but I think ultimately it sucks no matter what.
Yeah.
Is kind of the point there. So here's a handful of questions that I had, or just questions and thoughts. 1, how much will the losing team with a higher score, how much will the losing team with a higher than predicted score go up, and how much will the winning team go down on average when reliabilities are consistent? We have a couple data points there, but I'd like to see this over a larger time period. What is the largest possible swing in one match when all DUPRs are 100%? So if you had the 4-0 and 5-0, I want to know what the biggest jump humanly possible is. Is it 0.1? Is it a quarter point? I think if you can have a really huge swing, that's going to upset some people.
If the lower team loses?
Yes, but they overperformed.
Yeah.
Like I'm curious if it's possible for them to jump 0.15, because that'd be a huge jump for losing.
Yeah.
My guess is that's probably not possible, but I'd like to know theoretically.
Right.
If DUPR could let us know. And I'd love to see it for different amounts. Like if they got 9-11 versus 8-11 versus 7-11, what is the jump and decrease that the teams would each see? I do think that the good thing that comes out of this, because now all the better players are, afraid to play with lower players. Prevent sandbagging. That ideally, that I think does this very well, because the higher rated players shouldn't want to play with the lower rated players anyways. And I don't mean this socially. If in rec play you want to go do whatever you want, that's not even DUPR. I think there should be some commingling there. I think that's healthy for the sport.
Yeah.
But in a tournament, why do we want the higher level player to play with the lower level people? We should say we want those people as far apart from each other as possible.
I am curious now, though, what's going to happen with, like, we joke with the value pick players. Like, if I play a tournament with our friend Caleb, like, his DUPR's like 4-2.
Yeah.
Right? But he's actually like a 5-0.
Yeah.
If we win, does my DUPR go down and his goes up?
I would be curious in that.
Like, how does that work?
Yeah.
Right?
Totally.
Like, I've got a 5-2 DUPR, he's got a 4-2 DUPR, but we won. Mine go down, his go up. How does that work?
Yeah, I'd be curious to know how the algorithm handles. Surely I would think that it knows, okay, this person has a lower reliability rating, and like their impact, like they're unsure what their impact could be, because that's why the reliability rating is low. So I would think they punish you less because they have more data for you, but that's a good question. We don't really know.
That'd be an interesting one.
So I think it's good that it could prevent sandbagging and ultimately shouldn't affect rec play, because DUPR's not rec play anyways. Yeah, I think really a lot of it comes down to we could probably be okay with this DUPR algorithm as long as they raise the floor. Right? If, let's say, that 15-4, I think we both agreed if it was 7 for that to happen, that's probably fine, because how often do we expect that big of a gap for them to get 7?
Yeah.
That's a big amount of points. And if we took a game to 11, what do you think it should be for 11? 5? How often, if you have a full point or half a point, do you expect them to go more than 5?
I think maybe 5 is the only time where it starts to have impact. Anything less than 5, in my opinion, an 11-point match is a blowout.
Sure.
So if you're getting less than 5, yeah, you got slaughtered. You don't deserve to go up for losing.
Well, and I also think it probably depends on the different ratings, right? I think that's also what makes this tricky. If a 3-0 gets 4 points against 5-0s, that's a lot more impressive than 2 4-5s getting 4 points.
Yeah.
You expect that the 4-5s are going to get more points. So obviously there needs to be some variability right there, but yeah, 5 to 6 is where I'm like, okay, you probably shouldn't go up on a loss unless you got to there.
Yeah, I agree.
Somewhere in that area. But I think some of the downsides outside of, the obvious of losing DUPR points is that people in leagues are going to complain way more when there's a worse player in there. If there's a player that, let's just say, everyone kind of generally knows, like, yeah, it's tough to play. It's hard to win with them, but maybe you can pull it out if you can carry hard enough, right? But now when points are on the line, people are probably going to be a lot more angry when they get that player on their team. And then there's going to be complaints to the club, like, this person's not actually their DUPR rating, or no one wants this person in their DUPR because they're tanking and hurting everyone's DUPR. I think socially that's going to cause a lot of pressure. And I also think in tournaments, players who are jerks, I've witnessed this in several of my recent tournaments, particularly in mixed, this always happens. It actually makes me way more mad in mixed than it does in gendered. One, in women's, I feel like the women are never angry with each other. Men's, that does happen. In mixed, it's like all hands are off. It's always the guy being a jerk to the woman, almost every single time. But players who are known for like berating their partner, we've all seen it. They roll their eyes. They're like, oh, my partner's an idiot. The second they get off the court, they're telling everyone we lost because of them.
Riley Newman.
Yeah, basically. I think we're only going to see that more now, because now all the better person on the team is thinking is, seriously, you missed that overhead to end the game, and now they went up and got to 6 points. Now our DUPR's going down. Thanks a lot. Like, there's going to be more anger because of that.
And then you've got the people, the DUPR stalkers that go into a tournament, they look at their whole bracket, and they're like, oh, maybe that person's got the highest DUPR in the whole bracket, and now they're stressing. Like, I got to win every match, 11-2, 11-0, or whatever. Like, a lot of pressure, Yeah. I just think that's a little silly.
Yeah, so I think there's going to be things like that where I'm like, okay, I don't love that we're going to have that issue now. That to me matters way more than, okay, dude, you lost 0.001. Like, I couldn't care less if your DUPR goes up or down by that much. If you told me that's how much I was gaining on losses, like, I couldn't care less, dude. It means I'm not actually better at the game.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't go up by any meaningful amount. So yeah, I think some of those cons could definitely outweigh the upside of maybe slightly more accurate rating systems. Like, did DUPR really think the old system was... That's what I'd like to know. Did they think the old system was that inaccurate that this system with the cons it now has is that much better for accuracy? That's what I'd like to know.
Yeah.
Because I think now we've introduced some dynamics that will be unhealthy and maybe make people like DUPR less. It'll stress them out.
People will definitely like DUPR less now. I just think it's even, let's just say, even if it's not, even if it's a better system, more accurate, which is what people deep down probably want, right? Not everyone.
That's what they think they want.
That's what they think they want, right?
Only if it gives them the number they think they are.
Yeah. Not everyone actually wants a true rating, more accurate rating. But I think just the perception of this is worse to everyone, and it's going to make people more upset.
Yeah.
I just think it looks worse on paper.
I agree.
Now, while we're on the topic of DUPR, let's throw this little thing out there because this has been a conversation of some groups of mine, and I've seen online a few times. Maybe we don't have to go super in depth on it, but do you think someone should have multiple DUPR numbers for men's mixed? Should there be an age DUPR? Because I've seen people talk about this.
Yeah, I think that's a good one. I've seen a lot of people talk about this, and in my head, and maybe this is thinking too much in an ideal world, I would think that if the algorithm does its job right, like everyone goes, okay, a 4'5" 50-year-old is not the same as a 4'5" 18-year-old.
Exactly.
I hear that argument all the time. But here's my thought. If the algorithm is doing its job, they should be equal. Sure, let's say the 18-year-old is more athletic, but let's say they're less smart than the 4'5" 50-year-old. I would think it should even out. And okay, they are both 4'5". Hang on, I had one more thing I was about to go into to like keep that point going. But maybe the algorithm can't do that, and it can't actually, figure these things out, and there actually is a big difference. I generally think that if you are a 4'5", you should just be a 4'5", right? Regardless of your age.
Agreed.
In theory. Maybe in theory that doesn't work.
I don't think there should be separate ratings for different ages because why?
Because if you're older and you are less mobile, your rating should just go down over time.
Yeah.
Like, okay, you got older, you got a little worse, you're not a true 4'5" anymore.
I've seen arguments for there being separate DUPRs for older people. They're like, well, there's older divisions in tournaments. They should have separate DUPR ratings. No, if you're a 50-year-old and you're a 5'0", you should be able to compete with me, right? Like, that's the whole point of having a universal rating system, is that's how you determine skill level.
Right.
Just because you're older does not mean you should get inflated number, right?
I'm trying to imagine, and maybe I'm about to... I don't follow golf. I know there's a Masters tour, and I'm sure it exists for a reason, but I'm just imagining saying that a par... If you hit par in golf as a 60-year-old is not the same as a par for an 18-year-old, that would be crazy. You both hit par, right?
Yeah.
So like it shouldn't matter. Your
handicap should be the same.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I feel about this. Is like, okay, well, if they're actually worse, then they should just be a lower rating.
I totally agree. Because I've seen people argue it both ways, and I just think, yeah, everyone your rating should reflect how you play. Doesn't matter how old you are, who you are.
So then do you think that's different for sex? Because I also don't think it is. Like, I think if people always like to make the debate like, oh, women are worse than men or whatever, well, then the DUPR should just reflect that by being lower.
Yeah. I don't think there should be separate DUPRs in general.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure if you felt... Okay.
Oh, no. I think how we have it is fine. But I've seen people argue it for the other, like you should have a mixed rating, you should have a men's rating. Like, no, just be one. I don't think there should be multiple, like... Yeah, your skill reflects your rating. Doesn't matter what you're playing, who you're playing against, how old they are, how old you are. Your rating is your rating. I don't think you should have multiples for that. Yeah. I think that's a little silly.
Because also, how do you determine what is a 4'5" 50? What makes a 4'5" 50-year-old a 4'5" versus a 4'5" 18-year-old?
Exactly.
I don't even know how that works.
I just had to bring that up because I've seen it been argued all over, and I just think it's silly. I think that shouldn't even be an argument.
The one thing that I maybe think, and I haven't thought this through a lot, so there could be a lot of issues with this, is I don't know if I would mind if there was a third rating for mixed, but it's like, I don't really know if it needs it.
We don't.
Like, what does that even mean? Like, what would it mean if you were a 4-5 men's player versus a 4-2-5 mixed player, or a 5-0 women's player and a 4-5 mixed? Like, what does that mean?
Right.
How does that make sense?
It would just make it even more confusing.
Like, I think people would be super confused looking at that and going, so, okay, let me get this straight. When you play with a guy or a woman, your rating is lower. But if you play with the same gender, you're higher. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. That's exactly what I think would happen.
Right. Yeah. The only thing that I can understand is that you're typically playing an extremely different style and game in like gendered versus mixed.
Yeah.
And some people are not as good at playing like
covering a lot of court.
Yeah. I know some players who are great in men's. Let's just, for example, pick Colin Johns.
Right.
Great right side men's player. Not the best mixed player, right? So like, yeah, there could be an argument for that, but I don't think that you should have a completely separate rating for that.
Yeah.
That just means overall skill level, your skill set in general is lower.
Right.
So yeah, if you're losing in mixed, your rating should go down, and that should reflect your overall universal skill in all categories. If it's doubles, it's doubles. It don't care if it's gendered or mixed.
Yeah.
That's my whole debate for it. I'd love to hear some other arguments for why, because I know there's a lot of people who think there should be separate ratings.
Yeah.
So tell me why.
One, please, in the comments, feel free to let us know what you think, because I don't think I'm really that attached one way or another. I think I'm in the stage right now where I could be swayed with this new update to believe one way or another. I think when I saw this, I just went in with more of an open mind than I feel like a lot of people were. So if you have a compelling argument, I'd love to hear it. I feel like I just don't really care, but this is where I feel like I'm sitting right now.
Yeah, same.
So hit us in the comments with what you think. And
I definitely make it sound like this is life or death for me, and I care a lot. But deep down, behind the scenes, I couldn't care less about DUPR.
You know what movement we need to start? We need to start I don't know what the catchy hashtag would be for this. I'm sure ChatGPT could come up with something, but we need a hashtag that's like, stop making DUPR your identity. People treat that number like it is like a report card about you as a person.
That's your social rating.
Like, they see it go down and they're like, I am less of a human. And I'm like, bro, it just doesn't matter that much.
Yeah.
Like, would I like to see mine go up? Yeah, of course I want it to be higher. But if my DUPR changed to 3.5 tomorrow, would I be upset? Yes, but probably because it means I am playing worse. Mm-hmm. So I have some work to do. But like, in terms of what my friends think of me, I could not care less.
Yeah.
You for my entire existence of Pickleball on this YouTube channel, there are people who genuinely believe I'm a 3.5. There are times where I travel out of the country and people are like, I thought you were actually a 3.5. You mean it's a joke? So, bro, I just let people think you're worse. Let them think. Who cares?
Yeah. Because then if you get on the court and you play, it should be clear that you're not, right?
Yeah.
So
it just doesn't matter. I just don't think it matters that much.
Yeah. No, I agree. We can do all this yelling and screaming about it, but at the end of the day, DUPR shouldn't matter that much. Just play pickleball.
Just go have a good time. All right. Well, you've made it to the kitchen, and how deep were we today? Wow, we're an hour and 9. We're kind of
every time.
We might not need to go into this again.
Oh my God.
But there's one thing we do have to go over. I played a moneyball this weekend, guys, and it was a 5-0 plus moneyball, and actually, it's weird. This whole pod.
I knew I could see it under there.
I was trying to hide it. This actually isn't from this weekend. This is a bronze medal.
I was gonna say, I was like, hold on.
I was bored. That's why I wore this. I tried to hide it.
Yeah.
Anyways, I pulled a medal out from under my shirt.
I just barely saw the red, white, and blue, and I was like, oh, that's what's going on here. That is really funny, though.
Yeah. But, okay, I have to tell this story. There's only one story from this that I really care about. So, my men's partner, we've started playing a lot more together. We started drilling more actively, so I'm sure we're going to continue to play more tournaments. But he saw this Moneyball tournament and said, hey, do you want to go play? At a minimum, it'll just be good experience against better players. And going into this, I kept telling Sarah, I kept telling him, I said, look, as long as we don't get last place, I'm content. I will be happy if we don't get last place. That's all I want. And he was like, dude, no, come on. Like, we could probably do better than that. I was like, I don't know. There's some really good teams in here. All right. So, you guys remember that bet Isaac was talking about with DUPR? One of the guys in our group is playing in this tournament. He's a part of this bet. He's drilling with, they come over and they're using the home court and they're drilling a little bit. So I was just giving him a hard time. Every time they missed a dink in the net or missed a return, I was like, I'm going to beat this guy this weekend. It'll still be so easy. Obviously being sarcastic because this guy is a much better player than I am, and so is his partner. Both of them are significantly better than me.
In skill level, but...
In skill level, both better.
Not in...
In pool play, they mopped us. It was...
11-3?
11-3, 11-4, something like that. We got beat badly. It was not close. I didn't feel close. Then we get to bracket play. And we're still getting beat down pretty badly. From what I remember, I don't actually remember how the scoreline progressed, but
I do.
What were we down? What was the most they were up by and the most we were down by? Because I don't remember.
I don't remember the most, but I remember specifically the end of the game. It was like...
I remember near the end.
Yeah, it was like 8-8. Then they got to 10-8.
Okay, so the gap was tighter than
At the very
I thought.
end, it was pretty close.
Okay.
Actually, no. They were up 8-6. Then I think you guys got to 7-8. Then they got to 10, and then you tied it.
Okay. So anyways, I thought I remembered it being more like 4-10 or something, but it doesn't really matter either way.
No. It wasn't that crazy.
They're kicking our butt. Honestly, this match, I was fully ready to lose. Even when we were apparently this close, I still thought we were going to lose because the shots they hit, mechanically, they're much more sound than us. All you got to know is your boy pulled it out, and we knocked them out to go to the gold medal match. So not only did I avoid getting last, I got silver.
But you know what's so great about this?
What?
Is our little bet will still hold true because that was not DUPR.
Well, I know it sucks that wasn't DUPR because I would have got so many
But you know if it was DUPR, that wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, right.
Now, actually, this brings up a great point into just tournaments in general, specifically local ones that I hate.
Okay.
That was a semifinal, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's 1-15. Mm-hmm. I don't care who you are. Anything can happen in 1-15.
Sure.
And I just think that's stupid. 2 out of 3, y'all never win that. Never once do you win that.
You said we'd never win if it was the 15
only reason you guys won is because my two buddies have some of the worst mental I've ever seen, and they crashed out and gave up halfway through that match.
They did crash out so bad. By the
time
time
up so hard, and I wanted to slap one of the... We hung out afterwards. I wanted to slap him across the face. I know you're listening to this right now, buddy. Yeah, I was so mad at him.
There was a point in the match. I believe we were down 10-13 or 11-13. By the time they got to 13, I was pretty convinced this match was over. And then we had a couple points in a row, and then actually we had to have been down more than that, I think. But anyways, they just started making some dumb mistakes, covering a little too much court, going for a little too much.
They missed like 3 returns at the end of the game.
Yep.
Long in the net, wide.
Their body language got pretty bad, and there was at that point I was like, oh, we won.
Because the issue with this is they mentally gave up.
That's their problem, though. They gave up. I didn't give up.
No. But that's I have nothing to do with you yet.
Yeah.
That's their problem.
Yeah.
The issue with this is this man's head was so big, I'm surprised he was able to get in the car to come home. I'm surprised we fit in the studio right now. It's crazy. The inflation.
Yeah, my head was real big because all I heard from them while they were drilling was, Chris, never in a million years are you going to beat us.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is I pulled it off.
The mental...
Not just me. My partner played a big role in that, too. That was not just me.
Specifically, those two combined. They play amazing when they're on, but just... and it's okay. I've said this. They know it themselves and have said it to them multiple times about their mental. They just know it. Is brutal. One of the guys' name is Brock. When he's playing bad, we call him Broccoli, and that's like the joke. We get Brock, we get Broccoli. So there's only 2.
It was very funny.
But yeah, no, it was a good win. You won.
When I found out we went to I didn't even know that was a semifinal. I thought it was maybe a quarterfinal. When I found out that we got to gold, I was like, there's no way this is real right now. But outside of that, there's not really anything else you guys need to know. I just had to brag about that a little bit. I did play with the J2NF just to finalize for the review. That's probably going to be out this week. Playtesting's done. I just wanted to make sure that the production model was playing the same as the pre-production, and outside of that heat thing, they're the exact same. So everything's good. Loved playing with the paddle. I feel like it fits me very well. Our one friend isn't listening to this, but I have one friend that saw me play poorly one time with this paddle.
One time.
We drilled, and I played poorly. And he was like, bro, burn that paddle. He's like, that is the worst paddle ever. He's like, I've never seen you play worse in my life. Don't even try and convince me that paddle is good. And now I need to go to him and be like, if it wasn't good enough to beat this team, I don't know what's good enough for you, bro. But yeah, it's a great paddle. Definitely up there for Maine. I think when I finish getting through the Carbon True Foam 4 and the GX2 Power, that's probably when I'll make my decision of what paddle's going to be.
What you're using.
But right, I feel great with the J2NF, and maybe with the long handle one, that'll fix. I don't even know what complaint I would have at that point. Honestly, that's assuming it doesn't drastically change the paddle. That's probably a pretty perfect paddle for me. But we'll see. I just think the GX2 is really fun.
GX2 solid. The NF is good. I like how it feels, but I can't use it for a multitude of reasons.
Yeah.
Just mainly the handle, which is getting fixed with the long handle one, and then it's not going to be UPA approved, so I'm not going to use it. Yeah. I'm only going to use paddles at this point that are UPA approved because, well, I'm playing a Challenger in a couple weeks, and I'm probably mostly playing PPAs, so I'm just going to be, unfortunately, forced into it.
Yeah.
So even though I do think the NF is a great paddle.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we're like an hour 30 in, so I guess another week.
We're cutting this topic again till another time, guys.
One day we're going to get to this tournament analysis.
It makes sense. It's probably best to save it until after.
We're going to have like a 2.5 hour pod or something.
After the Challenger I play. Yeah, that'll be a good time to bring it up because then we'll have more to compare and talk about in recent times with tournaments, local, big. Yep. So after, just wait till after I play the Challenger in a couple weeks, and then we'll have a lot to talk about. I think that'll be a great pod to do it on.
For sure.
So, all right.
Cool. All right. Thanks for listening, guys. We'll catch you in the next one.
Peace.